I am Coach G. This is Coach C. She is my Valentine. We both coach at CrossFit Result, and in this Valentine's episode, we'll tell you the story of how we met. Tune in, take notes.
Welcome to the CrossFit Edwardsville Community Podcast, where we hear and learn from our coaches, CrossFitters, and Glen Ed community leaders. Now, here are your hosts, Dallas and Greg.
What is up, guys? I'm Coach G. This is Coach C, Coach Caroline, and she is my Valentine. Actually, she's been my Valentine for a little bit now. In this episode of the podcast, we'll share the story of how we met in the first place, just because it's kind of a fun story and lets you guys get to know us a little bit better. So I'll actually let Caroline kind of take the lead and tell her side of the story first. Caroline, do you remember when we first met?
Yeah.
It's been over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like 2002, maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
When I was a wee young lad, 19 years old. And she,
Tread lightly.
she was, I don't know, she's got a couple of years on me, which is fine. Can't tell. But anyway, so let's set the scene here. So back in the early 2000s, there were these things called libraries. They don't really exist in the same way now, but back in the early 2000s, if you wanted to learn about a topic, you would go to a library, or if you didn't have a computer and you wanted to get work done, you'd go to a library because they had computers there where you could work. So, this was all in the world before there was Yahoo and Ask Jeeves and Google. In the very early 2000s, if you wanted to learn about something, you didn't look it up on YouTube. You went to the library and went to the card catalog to find the content they had about the topic of your interest. And I guess in terms of setting a stage here properly, on this particular day in the library, there was me, there was Caroline, and then my, at the time, best friend, Shanika Lux, who I'd actually met overseas. So all of us were in college at the time, and I had gone overseas to France for this cultural awareness class about French culture, and that's where I met Shanika Lux. And when we got back to the States, we became best friends. We lived in the same area. We talked all the time. And so I knew Shanika, and Shanika knew Caroline. You kind of want to take the story from here, baby girl?
So I had a public speaking class with, well, I call her Georgie actually, because we were really, really good friends, and we had like nicknames or whatever. Anyway, she and I had a public speaking class, and that's how she and I met. So
to clarify, Shanika, who I called Nini, is the same person that Caroline calls Georgie, just for clarification, the story. So she says Georgie, and I say Nini or Nika. We're talking about the same person, but go ahead.
Yeah, she has a lot of nicknames. Anyway, so she and I were headed to the library to, I don't even know what we were doing. We were just going to go in there. Was a nerd and wanted to go, so I just tagged along, and I ended up sitting down at a computer, like one of those big box computers. And and then we were just looking stuff up or something. I don't even really remember that much what we were doing, but we were sitting together
side by side. Nini and Caroline sitting side by side at these big box computers.
Yep. And then then you came in. That's whenever you came in from the door. So Greg comes in from somewhere and like gives her this hug or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but gives her this hug, I think. And then
Really
I
big
look
hug.
over and there he was. And then I kind of okay, trying to figure out what's going on. And then I just kind of go back to my work. And then then Greg rolls over in this chair so he cut like Shanika is on my left. And then Greg rolls in this chair over to my right. And then he says, well, hello, or something like that. And then I just look at
Very
him.
smooth, though. Exceptionally suave and charming like.
And then I think you said hello. I don't even remember. And then I just said hi, I guess, or something like that. And then Shonika says, get away from her or something. And then she's like, go sit over there. So she motions to make him sit somewhere else. And then he sits just on the opposite side of me. And so I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And then every now and then I see him like peer over his computer to look at me.
So to clarify, after Shanika shooed me away, I walked around to the row of computers parallel to the one that they were sitting at. So now I'm at a computer, but I'm facing toward Caroline and Shanika with my box computer in front of me, occasionally just like looking around my computer like, who is this fine freaking woman? Who is this fine freaking woman who's sending me all of these interest signals?
Oh, right.
But yeah, I don't know. I just walked up and I just started talking to her until Shanika, shooed me away, which is hilarious now because Shanika was the common link between the two of us when we first met, and she very quickly picked up that there might be some chemistry there. There might be some kind of, I don't know, interest or connection. And she tried to smash that down immediately. She was having no part of it. She did not want me and Caroline to have any sort of thing. Fun fact, at our wedding many years later, she was definitely telling the story of how she introduced us and she was how we met in the first place, which is hilarious looking back now. But yeah, but our relationship almost didn't happen because, at the time, Shanika was 25 years old. Caroline was 25 years old. I was 19 years old. And Caroline didn't know about that at all when we first started talking and kind of sort of hanging out. And then Caroline, how would you describe it when you found out that I was 19 years old?
I remember calling you, I think, or maybe I answered a phone call from you. And then you said, you asked, will you go out with me? And I said, no. And you said, why not? And I said, because you didn't tell me how old you were or something like that. I think I was like, you're 19 and I'm 25. And I think I said something like, I'm too old for you, or you're too young for me, or something like that. Or you didn't tell me how old you were or whatever. And then you said, what difference does it make? Or what does it matter? And then I remember just saying that like over and over again for a while, I think. And then I'm pretty sure I told you I was not going to date you because you were too young.
How did you overcome that? Like, what was it that?
How did you overcome that?
Yeah, like what was the, like, how would you say, like, what was it that changed your mind?
So I think that if anybody knows you, everybody that knows you knows that you're really persistent. And it was lots and lots and lots of persistence before I even decided that I was going to just have pizza at your place, because you were asking me to like go on a date, and then I was like, no, we're not going to call it that. We're not going to call it that. We're not going to call it that. We're just going to have, dinner or lunch or whatever it was at the time. We're just going to eat pizza at your place. And so, but I was pretty adamant that I was not going to date you or go on a date with you.
The funny thing is, I kind of remember it a little bit differently, that you were always calling me. And then once texting became a thing, you were always texting me. That's how I remember it.
Yeah.
We all need Shanika to step in and see how she remembers it, see if, like, who's got the story right. But so yeah, we started hanging out, and I think, gosh, just, I guess, love blossomed from there. And
actually, I remember telling myself, I'm like, okay, this guy is going through many, many hoops. He's jumping through so many hoops to try to ask me out or something like that. Actually, I remember that because I said, I'm going to go ahead and see what this is about, or see what he's about. I remember telling myself that.
I'm glad you gave me a chance.
That's what it was.
Despite my youth, I'm glad you gave me a chance. And I guess it was helpful for me that Caroline was older than me, because I was, looking back, actually, I was pretty immature, and Caroline had a lot of life experience and wisdom that I didn't have, and she could help me to see things that I couldn't see. She helped me to think in better ways and see the world in a different light. And like, her insight and her wisdom actually ended up like really helping me to become a much better person. And I appreciate that now, even to this day, that she continues to make me a better person. And I really appreciate that about her. She makes me a better coach, better communicator at CrossFit with our CrossFitters. Caroline has a level of emotional intelligence, people intelligence, that I definitely did not have as part of my default operating system. I had to learn a lot, but I mean, major credit to her for that. So fast forward to 2008, I got down on one knee and asked her to marry me, and the rest is history.
Yep.
Fun fact, 2008 is also when we both started doing CrossFit.
I think I started a year after you did.
It might have been.
Or no, wait. You started doing it before we were married. Mm-hmm. It was in 06, I think. It
was May of 08 when I started CrossFit. We got married in September of 08. Yeah. I started in May of 2008. But anyway, so.
And I'm pretty sure that you were doing it for like a year, weren't you, before I did? Or like maybe it was some months, I think, because you kept asking me, or you kept saying like, we both worked out, but you kept saying, hey, I found this new program. You really should try it. You really should try it. Yeah. You really should try it. And I kept saying, no. But again, that persistence comes into play there. And then I was like, okay, fine. And so then I did it one time, and then that's whenever I was like pretty hooked on it after that.
Yeah. So, gosh. So we've been married now, going on 17 years doing CrossFit, going on 17 years. And it was 2010 where we both started coaching. So that's now, as of the recording of this podcast, 15 years. And the rest is history. Now we both coach here at CrossFit E, and now you guys know how we met. And we thank you guys for joining us for this episode of the podcast. Any closing thoughts, baby girl?
I don't think so. Maybe not.
Well, we thank you guys for joining us for this Valentine's episode And we will see you guys in the next episode of the podcast. Bye now.
See ya.
Welcome to the
Thanks for listening to my dad's podcast. For more useful tools and guidance, go to CrossFitEdwardsville.com and feel free to like, share, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comment sections down below. See you in the next episode.